Greetings, fellow barbarians. It is I, Alan Odinson, and this is the Barbarian Lounge podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. Halloween is approaching, my friends. It is, as I air this episode, depending on when or what time you may be listening to it, Halloween is here. It's just a few days away. And I thought I would talk about some Halloweird today. Why not? I haven't done a Halloweird show, right? What better time than now? What better time than a few days before Halloween? So let's get a little bit of the housekeeping out of the way to start with. First off, our website is thebarbarianlounge.com. Go there, check it out. Got a lot of new stuff up on there. We also got some of our some stuff in the shop. I had a few people asking me on a few different areas, where can they find those thug strangulation cords that we offer from the Barbarian Lounge? And I said, all you got to do is go to the website, thebarbarianlounge.com, go there, click shop. You'll find several different options there. You can pick you up some strangulation cords, or you can pick up some blood strangulation cords by picking up a pocket tourniquet, so you can prevent yourself from leaking fluid all over the place should you ever find yourself in such a situation. I always say that anybody who walks around, any man who is intent on being a protector for his family, for his people, whomever it may be, you need to have a tourniquet on you. If you carry a gun, why don't you have the means to plug bullet holes? Let me guess, you'll never get shot. Well, let me know how that works out for you, Neo, because as far as I know, this is Halloweird time. As far as I know, we're not living in the Matrix just yet. So until you show me you can dodge bullets, there's a good chance you're probably going to get shot. And a tourniquet is a necessary piece of equipment you need to have on your person. Not in your vehicle, on your person. So you can pick up one of our pocket tourniquets to keep in that very spot in your pocket every single day, every place you go. And, you never know when you're going to need such a thing. Also, you can go there and check out the donate button. I urge you to check out that donate button. I urge you to click on that, and you'll find several options there that you can use to support the show. First option is a one-time PayPal donation, which is exactly as it sounds. You click on it, you say, hey, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars just to say thank you. And, all that money goes to help support the show. Maybe you just would like to buy me some coffee. That would be fine. I pretty much run on caffeine. I'm fueled by caffeine and anger. Those things drive me each and every single day, and they are the two feeding mechanisms for that which is Alan Odinson, okay? Especially caffeine. Holy shit. I put down more caffeine probably than probably enough to make an elephant have a heart attack, but it keeps me running good. I can drink as much caffeine as I can, and my hands don't shake or anything. It's kind of frightening. So if you want to make that one-time PayPal donation, that is the place to do it. The other option you can choose, which a lot of people are choosing right now, is to become a member. That is on our Patreon site. When you click on that link, it will take you to our Patreon page. On that Patreon page, you will make a donation based on a per-show basis. We do 8 shows per month. You say, wait a minute, 8 shows? I only hear 4. Well, that's because you're not a member. You get our 4 regular shows as a member. You get our 4 regular shows early. And recently they've been running about a week early. You get those 4 shows early. You also get 4 exclusive shows only available to members. Yes, that's right. 4 exclusive shows only available to members. I try to keep it somewhat educational, but sometimes that platform at least enables me to have a free-for-all approach to the things I would like to talk about that I may not necessarily be comfortable talking about over the open airwaves. So I leave that behind the curtain for those members who are willing to put a little bit more skin in the game. We have a lot of new members right now. And I'm sure a lot of you new members are listening to this show right now. And I say welcome. From me to you, from Alan Odinson, welcome to the Barbarian Horde. We are glad to have you on board. And, you can also leave comments there. A lot of people communicate with me through that page and all that. So, and I've got some plans for some upgrades for our members here in the near future. Right now, I'm trying to get everything. I want to get all of our older content that got hit with a hack attack. I'm wanting to get that uploaded on the member site, and I'm slowly but surely adding those things on there. It's very, very time consuming. I'm burning the candle at both ends, so it can be one of those things that takes a bit of time. So please bear with me. but I've got some plans for our members in the future, and we're working on those. So enjoy the content. Please, if you have any, all of you, especially all you members, if you have any suggestions for content you would like to hear, maybe guests or anything like that, let me know. A quick note real quick, a show note about guests. I had some issue with my recording software. It crapped out on me. I don't know what the deal is, but I believe that I have it worked out. Okay, I got some new software that I'm going to give a whirl here. My biggest concern is getting a amazing guest on here, which all the guests I book are amazing. But I'm so concerned about getting an amazing guest and having a great talk and the audio crap out on me. It would be wonderful for me, but horrible for everybody else. So I'm testing and testing and testing just to make sure these things work out good. So please bear with me. But I am looking to have some guests on. I got a lot of people lined up, looking to have some new guests on, possibly in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that. Our sponsors. Let's hit our sponsors here. Odinson Archery, traditional bows made from non-traditional materials. Yes, that's right. You do not have to break the bank to get into the world of archery. Many people are finding through Odinson Archery that they can get into the game without having to completely empty out their bank account. The archery world is admittedly an expensive world to get into. I've always enjoyed archery, but I never had the ability to really afford the gear. And that was really the root cause of the founding of Odinson Archery. The goal is to put a bow in every hand. A lot of different packs, a lot of different options to offer high quality, affordable gear for everybody to get into the sport of archery. Whether you want to target shoot, whether you want to hunt, whether you want to do more combative archery, either way, I had some guys recently purchase from Odinson Archery. They are on a combat archery team, like some championship combat archery team up in Canada. And these guys bought some of the bows to fight with up there, which is pretty fucking awesome, if you ask me. If you've never seen combat archery, they use blunt tip arrows. Some of them use the harder tips, some use the foam tips, but I think these guys use the harder tips. And it's pretty cool. I mean, it's basically like bow fighting, but it's pretty amazing. So I'm glad to see the gear making its way up there. Our other sponsor, Mitacon, MitaconsUSA.com, Texas-based organization. Let me read my little header here in my commercial voice. Mitacon, with a proper diet, supports the cell's fastest, most effective absorption of natural nutrients in each 250 milliliter bottle and sustains the body's mitochondria generation of usable energy, key to producing ATP, the energy-rich fuel the body needs to achieve peak athletic strength, performance, endurance, and recovery. MitaconsUSA.com. Yes, that's right. That is my commercial voice. I hope you enjoyed it. Mitacon, man, I've got my bottle sitting right here with me. It's one of the few non-caffeinated things. I don't think they have any caffeine in the Mitacon. If they do, it's a small amount. Yeah, it's very, very small, like minuscule. I probably have more caffeine than that in a sip of my coffee. Jeez, but Mitacon, man, it gives you a different kind of energy, man. While I'm usually sucking down caffeine and stuff like this, Mitacon, there's no crash from it, which is great. If you're looking for something to get you wired up like a psychopath, Mitacon's not that thing for you. It is a good leveled out energy run. I usually, when I have something to concentrate on where I'm going to have late hours, I love to have my Mitacon then, or after a workout, before a workout. Man, that it is wonderful for recovery. That has been the biggest thing that I've used it for is recovery and focus. Focus definitely, because you guys know my mind runs 100 miles an hour and it tends to want to drift off. So the Mitacon helps me kind of focus on that which needs to be focused on. It's crazy. Having a mind that runs like that is a blessing and a curse at the same time. But check them out, MitaconsUSA.com. Tell them Alan Odinson sent you, and my boy Ben will hook you up. They've got an Indiegogo campaign going on right now as well, which they're trying to. They're basically a grassroots organization, a small business, and they're trying to get some of that some of that boosting from the people, and I urge you to go there and help them out. Another thing that's new that we've got going on right now is the Barbarian Lounge has invaded Twitch. If you do not know what Twitch is a game streaming, actually a huge game streaming service where people basically go in there and live stream them playing video games. How I've been running is I've been trying to run it as kind of a live show. So it gives people the ability to interact with me. It gives me the ability to get on there and talk about all kind of different things. And plus, you can, if you like watching people play video games, it's fun for that too. I'm not some super gamer, so don't expect me to go in there and be a world beater or anything like that. I'm still an old man in a young man's game, but I figure my goal has always been to get in with the younger crowd. Those are the people that we need to be fighting for. Those are the people that we need to have hearing our voice, and I'm willing to put my time and effort into doing that. Different games. I'm going to be hosting some different games. Right now, I've just been pretty much me doing Battlefield 1, which Battlefield 1's a little difficult to do the live show on, to talk to people, because you tend to kind of be hooked into the system with everybody else, and you get some ridiculous chatter and stuff like that in there. But we've already done a couple shows, had some people talking to us back and forth, because there's a live chat that goes on there, and you talk to me, and I respond in live time, so it's pretty cool. I'm probably going to be doing some... I've got some different stuff on there. I like to play poker on there, actually. So I can actually play poker and talk to you guys as well, which is pretty cool. You guys know, if you've been paying attention to the shows lately, I've been talking a lot about poker. So, and there's a reason behind that. It's not just because of gambling, which I don't consider poker gambling. Poker is a game of skill. It is I think it's the greatest strategy game ever. I mean, even over chess and stuff like that. I know that probably butt hurts a lot of people, but that's probably because you don't understand the game. So, and check us out on there, twitch.tv/Barbarian Lounge. Do not add the THE. It is just twitch.tv/Barbarian Lounge. Go there, check us out. There's also a donate button on there where you can say, hey, how you doing? Click that and just make a little donation or something like that. So that's not my whole reason for doing that site. It's just I figured, if I'm going to relax playing games anyway, I might as well talk to some of the my fellow barbarians out there. Also, you can check us out, ucy.tv. The Barbarian Lounge airs there on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can check us out on there. A lot of our shows, our older shows, are actually on YouTube because of ucy.tv. There's a lot of really good content on there, so you guys can go there, check them out, see if you find some other shows on there you like. Also, you can subscribe to the Barbarian Lounge on there and check us out. There's like I said, there's a live chat that goes on. A lot of people talk about the program as it's airing, and, you can take part in that as well. So I think that's all the goodies that I have to work out. Got my Minacon sitting right here, guys. I don't have it in my loud glass today. I've just got it in a bottle, so it's not going to make the jingling sound of ice today. So I want to talk about with Halloween rolling up and all this stuff like that, I want to talk about just some weird stuff. If you guys don't know, man, I've told people this, and when I say this, I think people kind of underestimate, like, my, what I'm talking about here. Some of you people who, like, know me from, like, forever. Guys, my initial, like, cutting of teeth into the world of I don't know, maybe call it social media or just whatever. My initial cutting of teeth was that in the world of conspiracy. And it's not because I believe, like, conspiracy. If you guys talk to me, I don't believe in, like, I'm a hard sell on a lot of conspiracies. I like evidence. And that's from my experience in the conspiracy world. Everybody that starts in the world of conspiracy and weird things, they always kind of, some people always start out with just believing everything. The further and further along you go, you either develop a sense of apathy towards it, or you develop a sense of, look, you got to show me some fucking facts here, because I just can't buy anything, I've had people talking to me about the Las Vegas shooting, and and they're like, oh, how did he do this and how did he do that? And I'm like, man, you guys lack the imagination. I mean, seriously lack imagination, because thus far, from the official story, now we'll just go with the official story. The official story was that, the guy carrying out the shoot and everything, and he did this and he did that, and, one person did it, and for me, I can completely see how this played out, even with somebody with no military training. I know people. This guy had money and resources, definitely could have done it, But, I've heard stuff, like, I read some article the other day where they were like, this guy was a CIA agent, and they were carrying out an arms deal and all stuff like that. And I'm like, where the fuck did you pull what asshole did you pull this out of, right? Because, zero evidence. If there's evidence, man, I'm on it. I'm fucking on it, but I gotta see some stuff. You gotta show me some stuff. You gotta show me some documents. You gotta show me some history. I can't listen to Billy Bob Joe that was on the corner who said, yeah, I saw him down there at the corner working with the CIA guys. I can't go with that. You gotta show me some shit, okay? I like to have multiple sources. I've always considered myself, when it comes to researching things, I love research. Oh my God. I love it. I probably should have been, at the end of the day, like a true investigative journalist, which, let's be honest, that really doesn't hold any weight in the modern day world of media. But I love investigative journalism. You guys probably don't even realize from my past, like, stories that I actually broke that groups like InfoWars ended up stealing. That's the fucking truth. It's the truth. Some of you guys that know me, remember that. I actually did years ago. When InfoWars was doing the reporter contest. I did 2 videos for that. Made it a good ways into the lineup, but they didn't like the way I looked. Because I guess because I was in shape and was bald and had a beard, so they were like, "Oh, that looks too much like Nazi. We don't want to be called a Nazi." So they ended up choosing. I think that was before Jakari Jackson. I was in that running. And it's funny because I did a bit with a chessboard on there. And a week after my video went up and entered into the contest, Alex Jones did the same bit on his show. So it's like, okay, dude, I got you. But there's been a lot of stories and stuff like that I broke. So the world of conspiracy is not something that's new to me, but I'm just that guy that I gotta have evidence. I will follow the evidence, and I'll follow it as far as it can go, but man, I just gotta have it. And, so when it comes to the world of conspiracy, a lot of people, man, they talk to me and they're like, oh, you just don't believe anything. You believe the official story and everything. I'm like, no, I just, if you show me some evidence and we can make it work and I can break all that shit down and I can't like easily debunk it. Hey, I'm down for the cause, man. Show me what's up. I like to find out stuff. The only problem with the conspiracy world is that when you get into it, the rabbit holes are just that. It doesn't really end up even being like a rabbit hole. It ends up being like going down an ant hole. Have you ever seen like the inside of an ant, like colony? It's got all these tunnels and all these different ways to go, and you can just, if you were walking through that, you would just get completely turned around. And just get trapped and lost, and that's pretty much how a lot of conspiracy stuff goes down. At the end of the day, you always have to ask yourself. This is what I ask myself about conspiracy oriented stuff. How does finding this information out? What does it do to change things in the long run? Like, for instance, if I can prove that 9/11 was an inside job, if I can prove that. Is it really going to change the narrative? Is it going to be picked up by the mainstream, even if I can prove it? Probably not, right? What's it going to change? If anything ever does come out, it's probably going to be redacted. It's going to be years later. So it's one of those things that a lot of people, man, it's easy to get trapped, and it's interesting and it's cool to look at stuff like that, but you always have to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at the bigger picture and make sure you don't get trapped down rabbit holes. Because maybe one day I'll do a show on what I found in the world of conspiracy. This isn't the show for it today, so don't ask for it. But I need to get a guest on who can definitely help me with this. Where all of the rabbit holes, if you follow them far enough, where's the one spot they lead to? I got you intrigued, don't you? You're like, holy shit, Odinson, how are you just going to leave it hanging like that? Sorry. That's kind of how it's going to play out right now until I can get the specific guest on, because he's an old friend and he would definitely be able to hash this shit out more than I. Okay, he's been in the game for 40, 50 years, so this guy would be able to hash shit out. But the funny thing about conspiracy stuff is eventually all the rabbit holes lead to one spot, but it's the one spot that everybody's afraid to go to. Ooh, that's a tasty morsel, and you want to know so bad, but I can't tell you right now. So we're gonna have to drift off into another rabbit hole, okay? So let's for instance, so I'm gonna talk about some different weird stuff that's going on right now in the world. Okay, right now, this is stuff that you can go online and find like instantly. And some of it is just oddness, some of it is conspiratorial stuff, some of it is just cultural oddness. But I figured that these things, with this Halloween week, these are all things that are pretty much happening like right now. Just how weird and fucked up this world is at this moment. And these are just I think, what did I grab? I think I grabbed like four or five of these different things that are going on right now that you can find, just to see how fucking weird the world is. I could take this show and flip it and turn it into a conspiracy show and just make it, and just have non-stop content. But then again, we'd be right down those rabbit holes where they lead to just all weird fucking places. And, man, it's like chasing your tail at times. But let's talk about a conspiracy thing that people have been talking about forever in this Halloweird weekend. Let's talk about a conspiracy thing that is actually starting to burst through the seams. And that's the JFK files. Yes, hashtag JFK files, right? The JFK files being released right now by Mr. Donald Trump. And, they're not all coming out, and of course they're redacted and all this stuff like that, and we gotta make sure there's not this, and make sure there's not that. There's all kind of different aspects that are popping up that people are asking questions about regarding those files. But there are a few gems, now, they're huge thus far. There are a few gems that have come out in this particular story. One of those was pretty interesting. I saw, a guy by the name of Joe Biggs. If you know who Joe Biggs is, I saw him post this and I looked it up, and this was pretty interesting. This Potito guy, Potito. I want to say he was. I'm trying to remember who the guy was. It seems like that this was one of the researchers for the actual JFK assassination, and this snippet right here offers some very, very juicy tidbits on something that people have been talking about forever. I'm going to read it to you. It says, Potito said the Surgeon General's report on the assassination stated the first bullet entered the president's throat below the Adam's apple, clearly showing that two persons were involved, with the first shot being fired from the bridge across the parkway in front of the car. To further substantiate this, Potito said there was a bullet hole in the windshield of the president's car. That's pretty interesting. That's very, very interesting because, if you look at the initial footage of the shot, right? The initial footage of the shot, the guy was, when Kennedy got shot, you see him lean forward, right? He has that whole lean forward aspect of the shot. And if you've ever shot in anything moving, it's much easier to gauge the distance on where to shoot if something is coming towards you versus something moving away from you. If you look at how the setup was for Oswald, it wasn't even a case where the president was just moving away from him. The president was moving away and at an angle. Very, very difficult shots, especially using the rifle he was using, which isn't, one, super accurate, but two, the action's very, very slow to work. I remember watching a thing years ago. There's a gentleman by the name of Jim Mars, may the gods rest his soul, because Jim Mars was an amazing researcher, researched the Kennedy files for a long time. Jim Mars researched a lot of shit. I've got many, many of his books right here on my in my library. Just an amazing researcher. And, they tested. Jim Mars had the exact angle and everything, and had a target and everything set up in a vehicle moving away at the same angle, same distance, same rifle, same everything to try and recreate this shot. He had expert marksmen. He had a lot of people trying to recreate what Oswald did, and it was impossible for them to do. but yet you have a subpar marksman that just magically was able to pull this off? I mean, who knows? Did all the stars align on that day? I don't know. But that's an interesting little tidbit that came out. One of the things that I read in those JFK files too was that Hoover said that it was imperative that the public believe that Oswald acted alone and that there was nobody else out there. Why would you need to say that if that was the case? Was there not some other evidence? Right? Why was it necessary to believe that Oswald acted alone? Who were they protecting? There's been a lot of people who have claimed different ties to this. I remember, and some of you who are more conspiracy than others, you may even look it up online, where they say that the limo driver shot Kennedy. Have you guys ever seen that? Where it says the limo driver turned around and shot Kennedy. And there's all these videos that you look at, and I remember when I first saw it, I said, holy shit, he did. Right? That's not the case. A funny thing was, during that time period, I'll debunk this one for you real quick. During that time period, you gotta think, a lot of people wearing grease in their hair. That was kind of the thing. And what it actually is, when the guy turns around and looks after the shot, you will see it's a reflection of the light off of his hair. Absolutely insane. But you can clearly see it if you pay attention to it. It is the light reflecting off of his hair. It kind of sort of looks like a gun. I don't know. But if you watch it, zoom in, slow-mo, you will see it's clearly a reflection off his hair. But it's interesting that all this stuff is coming out now, right? It's been speculated for years, and who knows what these files are gonna play out. But right now, people are still trying to analyze them. There's little tidbits coming out. This was an interesting tidbit because of the implications that it has. There was a report in there that the CIA was planning on carrying out an event known as Operation Mongoose. The plan for Operation Mongoose was basically to stage a bombing campaign across Miami in that area and make it look like it was the Cubans, to basically allow a Cuban invasion. That was the plan by the CIA. This is in the files right now. This isn't redacted. It's there. You can read it. So what we have is government record stating that the CIA had planned a false flag bombing campaign in Miami to start a war. Let that sink in for a minute. Now, this is stuff we can prove. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is conspiracy fact. We can prove this. Now we have documents. We have documentation. And we've heard this for years, that this was plans. But now you've got files coming out that states that this was the plan. Imagine that. Technically, the CIA is not even supposed to operate within the United States, carry out operations in the United States, yet here they are. Technically, right? So, the big question about this, now obviously this never did happen. This never happened. But that's not the point. The big question is, if you really think about what is all this, what does this mean? What does this mean? This means that a government-sanctioned organization was willing to stage attacks on American citizens in order to justify a war, a bill, something. But they were willing to wage war, a fake terror attack against American citizens. My fellow barbarians, that is fucking groundbreaking, right? I mean, we've all heard it. We've heard false flag. I mean, God, false flag has been used forever. Oh my God, it's common knowledge now. I mean, for a lot of people, I've been hearing it since the fucking 90s. False flag bombing campaign to be carried out in Miami. So where does that put all the other conspiracy theories that nobody knows, that nobody really knows shit about? There's all these questions, right? Look at Operation Northwoods. The same plan to take a plane, you don't know what Operation Northwoods is, this has been declassified as well. Operation Northwoods, the plan to take an airplane, fly it, load it with CIA personnel, land it, have a remote-controlled airplane, a radio-controlled airplane. Now think about when this was. This was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Remote-controlled airplane, fly towards Cuba, have it explode, making it look like it had been shot down by the Cubans as a way to rile the American people up to justify going to war. That's even been declassified. See, some people say, well, it never happened. But the plan was there. How many plans have they put forth that did happen? Right? I mean, we can start asking these questions now, right? Because if they're if they've got these plans and we find out about them later, what does that mean for everything else? Geez, I mean, am I going to have to look for my tinfoil hat here? Where the hell did I put it? I might have to I got one of those things on the wall that says, in case of conspiracy theory, break the glass, and there's a tinfoil hat in there. I might have to do that. Because, I mean, look at this. This is insane. This is evidence of a government organization willing to carry out an attack on American citizens. This is Invasion USA with Chuck Norris. Right? This is Invasion USA. It's insane, but you start looking at all the other things that people have questions about, and you go, geez, I don't know. Maybe there was something to that whole Las Vegas thing, right? We need evidence, but hey, maybe there was. You know, a fun fact here. When everyone was talking about, and I could verify this too, because I think I said it, geez, I'm probably going to get that. I think I probably already deleted it, but I took a screenshot of it. I said, when everyone was throwing out all these different theories about the Las Vegas thing, I said that, I've heard all these different talks and different theories about this and that, and the shooter did this, and this person was involved, and that person was involved. I said, but nobody said anything about the security guard. And the reason I said this is because I worked in security for years. And I said, there's no way in hell an unarmed security guard is going to walk towards gunfire to investigate a fucking door alarm. I know what an unarmed security guard's going to do because I've supervised them and I was one. Man, most guards, if you hear a fucking bump in the night and you don't know what it is, you go back and radio somebody else. You don't go check it out. I don't care how much of a big swinging dick you think you are. You're not gonna go walking to check out that fucking door alarm when you hear gunshots going off. So when I heard that, I said, well, that's a little weird. And I said, no one's brought up the fact of the security guard. And I mean, damn, a week later, people are like, oh, there's some questions about this security guard. And I'm like, well, of course, right? Dude, you can't beat Odinson to the conspiracy game. I may not be posting shit, but hey, once a conspiracy theorist, you're always thinking, right? And then you laugh and but inside you're going, what if? I don't know, shit, maybe it is. But it trips me out, like, all this stuff's coming out about the guy now. They're like, oh, that's really weird. And I'm like, yeah, I said that before. But the whole thing with this, who knows, maybe it was. But what was the plan there? You have to look at the big picture. There's no war. Was that an attempt at gun legislation? Maybe. You can't possibly think right now that gun legislation is going to work. Maybe they figured if they attacked enough, Republican type individuals, which would be at a country music festival, maybe they thought if they did that, they could sway people. I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate here. Either way, you look at some of the other big events in history, though. You would be foolish to not mention 9/11, the weird stuff on 9/11, right? I mean, let's be honest. I know I have a family member who works with the Department of Homeland Security. Well, not Department of Homeland Security. They work with the National Security Agency, doing some contracting work. And an older individual who is very, very close to me. And they still went not long ago. They went on missions towards the over there in Iraq. Doing some contracting work over there. This individual is both a pilot. They have a pilot's license. Still in their advanced age, they still will rent a plane and go fly just for the hell of it. But they're also an engineer. Okay, so they know how planes fly. They know how buildings are made and buildings fall. And I had a discussion with this individual. And I said, you know, I told him, I said, what do you think about this whole 9/11 thing? He said, let me tell you something. He said, I was at the Pentagon when the plane hit. I was there. He said, let me tell you what. He said, I walked out the hole that was there. I walked out the hole. He said, and I didn't see anything that reminded me of anything I know about planes crashing. He said, I didn't see any wreckage. I didn't see anything. Of course, everything was crazy and chaotic. He said, but I didn't see anything that made me go, oh shit, a plane just hit here. He said, I don't know what it was. So, hey, you know, take that for what it's worth. That's somebody I know. He also told me that, you know, a lot of the way the buildings fell didn't look right to him. He's like, I know what planes do to buildings. I know what the planes are composed of. He said, I know how buildings fall. It's not weird. He said, think about it. He said, if you take any object, like take the whole building. See, here I go, guys. Here I go. So you take a whole building. I'm telling you what he told me, so take it for what it's worth. I'm not an engineer, so hey, whatever. You take a whole building, which once you have an entire structure, people can say, oh, you know, structural integrity of this, integrity of that. You know enough about things falling that if they hit something that weighs more than it does, that it's probably going to tip over to the side. So I remember he told me, he said you take the entire one building. One building is composed of you know, all put together. It's essentially 100% of a structure. All right. He said the plane hit up high. We'll narrow it down to 20%, probably a little less than that, but we'll say 20% just for the sake of argument. He said, so you mean to tell me the weight of something that it's 20% had the ability to crush the remaining 80% and meet no resistance on the way down? It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. From an engineering standpoint, this is what they told me. From an engineering standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. It would have to be the greatest failure in engineering, like, ever. He said, not only did it happen once, he said, but it happened twice. Technically, it happened 3 times. So a lot of people don't even know Building 7 fell. But you know, all these different weird things that were happening. So, taking all that weirdness full circle, right? What do we say? What can we possibly say about this new information, knowing that there's evidence that comes out that says they would certainly carry out false flag attacks in the sake of starting a war? Well, what happened based off of 9/11? Well, it's still happening, okay? It's still happening right now. You know, so who knows, right? You know, it's always important to look at like cause and effect type stuff. Let's talk about Oklahoma City. I've done some shows about Oklahoma City. I've always said the movie A Noble Lie is something that every American should see. They should check it out, because it definitely does paint some very, very interesting pictures of a lot of information that you can't find in mainstream sources, but it's all backed up. That's one of the reasons I like the movie so much, and I promote the movie so much, is all of the evidence in there is sourced, and you can find it. If you got any questions, you can go find it. You can find out stuff about guys like Terrence Yankee. You can find out why that whole situation's very, very interesting. Okay? But, you know, there's always been things, well, was it a false flag? And it's like, well, why would it be a false flag? What is there to happen from it? I can tell you this, I know, because I was going strong with it during the time, or my family was at the time. The militia movement was growing strong. Growing stronger than ever, and it died after Oklahoma City. It was killed. It was snuffed out. Nobody wanted to be associated with it. Okay? Even if you look, let's be honest, let's take something a little more recent. Let's talk about Charlottesville. Let's talk about Charlottesville for a second. Oh, Charlottesville, where the white supremacists and the neo-Nazis ran into town and attacked everybody. Are you sure? I mean, are you sure? Because I know, I like to think you guys don't get your news from CNN and MSNBC. But see, here's the thing. I know people that were on the ground there. I know people on the ground. Know them. Alright? And I know that they're not neo-Nazis. I know that they were not white supremacists. I know what they were there for. They were there because there was an attack on Southern culture that day. And what did happen was all these different members from a lot of different organizations, and I will tell you this, there's a lot of fucking LARPers that were there. And when I say LARPers, live action role play, if you don't know what that means, people that play trolls online showed up with fucking Nazi flags to try and do the same thing in person. That's a big problem amongst a lot of the nationalist movements. It really is. They don't even like it. And most of the time they try and out these people, but it's very, very difficult at times. Okay? Especially when they're all being attacked by the fucking left. So on that day, they had a permit that had been supported by a federal judge. Permit, they were all there, had the right to be there under the First Amendment, plus federal order said they could be there. The left surrounded them, began the violence, and how I know they began the violence, because I watched the live streams that day. I watched the live streams. I was I was not there, but I was there. Okay, I was at home, but let's just say that I was making sure my friends made it home to their families. Okay, and I was watching the thing, all the live streams, man. I was on it, and I'm watching, and I'm like, holy shit, you know, the left's starting to throw things. They were throwing soda cans filled with concrete at these people. You know, they're like, oh, well, they showed up ready for a fight. They had shields, and they had this, and they had that, and the right wing had this, and they showed up with sticks and poles. Yeah, that's because every other time they try and do this shit peacefully, they get the shit kicked out of them. Okay? So, of course they're going to show up with shields. What's a shield for? To prevent things from hitting you in the fucking head. You know, like soda cans filled with concrete? That sort of thing. Alright? So on this day, everybody knew what was getting ready to happen. And the mayor ordered people to stand down. Ordered the cops to stand down. And then they told them to leave. Right? Then the mayor issued to the law enforcement, it was an unlawful assembly, and ordered them all to leave. Well, then they blocked them all off and corralled them to go right into the leftist. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think they were just going to let them pass? You know, because the left has proven themselves to be completely kind and understanding and respectful of people's First Amendment rights. No, they were going to kick the shit out of them, and fights were going to ensue. I'm surprised nobody got shot that day. I am just amazed nobody got shot that day. But there were people getting attacked and assaulted, and that led to the massive blood. Oh, the violence in Charlottesville. The violence was perpetuated by the leadership there. You could call that a false flag. You could call that a false flag. I would say you could call that a false flag, right? It's crazy, man. These JFK papers are just absolutely mind-blowing. Utterly mind-blowing. And I'm interested to see how all this stuff plays out. Because, like I said, I don't want to break the glass in case of a conspiracy theory and pull out my tinfoil hat. But, man, there's some weird shit. Shit you can question. Granted, it's nothing that I'm going to chase without evidence. And, hey, you guys got some cool evidence, send it to me. Hey, what the hell? I'll break the glass. Why not? But, a lot of that stuff's kind of fun to look into. But I think these JFK papers are going to be pretty cool the more they come out. Me, I've got better things to do than research conspiracy theories. But, hey, it does, if anything, this lets you know, I've talked a lot about the Empire. What the Empire will do to win the game, right? They're going to do what they do. And these papers just further prove that. And I say, if anything, you don't have to believe in a conspiracy theory. You don't have to believe that 9/11 was an inside job, or OKC was this, or that the shooter was working for the government in Las Vegas, and, Sandy Hook was this, and all this weird shit like that. You don't have to believe any of that stuff. All you have to know is that from these papers, that they would do that. That right there is just mind-blowing in itself. So let's jump into some other weirdness here real quick. I'm gonna kind of zip through some of these because I talked about JFK for a while. The Hollywood pedophiles. Oh man, Harvey Weinstein. And granted, I don't think he's necessarily been accused of pedophilia as much as he's been accused of being a creepy scumbag rapist. But there's a lot of interesting stuff coming out about that. The amazing point to me right now is, even though, I've known this forever. I don't know how many people have, but the guy who's becoming like the face of exposing the Hollywood pedophiles is fucking Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman, right? It's like, wow, we're living in a world where Corey Feldman is the voice of reason here. But hey, the guy's been put through some shit. Corey Haim, who I believe I don't know if Corey Haim, I know he's dead, but I don't remember if Corey Haim committed suicide or it was an overdose or something like that. But I know both of them had claimed to have been molested. If you've ever heard of you guys probably remember years ago, they're not around anymore, the Pussycat Dolls. Kaya Jones of the Pussycat Dolls has said the same thing. She said that the entertainment industry is used pretty much as like prostitution rings almost. I mean, that's kind of like the joke in there. So it should be no surprise when you see all these different things of these Hollywood celebs and music people doing all this creepy, weird shit. It's kind of the world they step into. Everybody, oh, I want to be a rock star, right? Yeah. There's a lot of, how much of your soul, how much of your being are you willing to give up for that? But this stuff, man, it's been going on forever. And we've been hearing it in the conspiracy circles. They've been talking about this just over and over and over again for the longest time. I remember hearing about Jimmy Savile. If you don't know who that guy is, you look up a picture of him. Jimmy Savile. Look that guy up. Sexual scandals involving children. I mean, who in the fuck would leave their child with that guy? But this guy was very popular in movies. He was popular. I want to say he was very, very close to the royal family over there in England. And I mean, he had a lot of ties to them. Then you start finding out this guy was running like pedophile type parties and shit. That's just creepy as fuck, man. I mean, these things, this sex trafficking has been going on all across the world for a long time, but Hollywood has forever been noted as being this type of place. You look at Jeffrey Epstein. Look at that guy, who, by the way, is connected to Harvey Weinstein. And Jeffrey Epstein was running what they call the Lolita Express, which was airplane flights that was supposedly taking people that basically had young children on there who were being molested by a bunch of older guys. And Epstein, this is confirmed, Epstein got busted for this shit, right? Well, guess who one of his main people who was hung around with him a lot was? Take a guess. Bill Clinton. Yes, Bill Clinton. Does that shock everybody? When I said it, everyone went, oh, not Bill. Not good old Bill Clinton. Yes, I know. It's shocking to believe that Bill Clinton would be a creepy fucking pedo bear. But, you know, that's one of the things. That there's a lot of things where Clinton was hanging out with Epstein. Harvey Weinstein was the, I want to say that during the, if I remember correctly, during the Bill Clinton years, he was actually running the projection work there. Like, he was working the video and the audio for the Clinton family. So it's just a coincidence that creepy rapist pedophile Harvey Weinstein, creepy rapist pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, and Bill Clinton were all hanging around together, and they've all been busted for sexual misconduct. So it makes you wonder, man. You want to talk about conspiracy stuff, right? You know, I remember hearing that the what's that movie with Tom Cruise? Eyes Wide Shut. They said that Eyes Wide Shut was actually kind of almost like a view into the Hollywood elite. A very, very creepy movie if you've ever seen it. I haven't seen it forever, but I remember it was super, super creepy. But, you know, if you guys have never heard of this lady, and you know, what can you say about whether or not this is true or not? But a lot of people have heard of a lady by the name of Kathy O'Brien. Kathy O'Brien claims to have been basically like a sex slave for the Bushes, as well as for Clinton. Years ago, for anybody who's even talking about this shit. And then all this information comes out. And she's got some weird stories. And, you know, I don't know whether or not any of it's true, but it's funny that some of the stuff she talks about is now starting to actually come out in mainstream sources. It's almost like that Hollywood has decided to sacrifice certain people, right? We don't all want to go down, so we're going to have you fall on the sword and take the death for us. But very, very interesting. You know, I'm interested to see where this ends up going too. It's safe to say that sex trafficking, mainly, I mean, all across, you probably have in your town, there's probably sex trafficking that goes on that you don't know about. I have some friends who are very much involved in busting up some of these sex trafficking rings, and I tell you, they do good work. The only thing I would say that I wish they did better was, rather than reporting these traffickers to the local law enforcement, I wish that they would I'll just leave it at that. I wish that they would, I don't want to self-incriminate myself, so, cause you never know what the fuck they get down. Oh, fuck it. I wish they put a bullet in their face. That's what I wish they'd do. I wish they'd go full fucking Frank Castle, put a bullet in these sex trafficking guys' face, and make the world a better place, right? You want to make America great again, shoot your local heroin dealer, shoot your local sex trafficker. There we go. I said it. I don't give a fuck. You know, I've got too much caffeine and hate in my system to stifle that voice. You know, I would say, no, I don't want to self-incriminate just in case I ever have to do something like this, but you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. I will ride out that prison term. I will ride out that electric chair, gas chamber needle, whatever it may be, if I know that I'm saving the life of some poor child or some individual who's going to poison my community. You know what? More people need to do that shit, right? There you go. I said it. I said it. Note to self. Lay off the caffeine before doing a show. You may say some shit, right? Easy to say shit like that till I get on the member show. Patreon.com/The Barbarian Lounge. Shameless plug. So let's talk about real quick here, because I want to wrap this show up. I don't want it to go too long. I want to talk about a couple. Some of these are kind of funny. Some of these are kind of funny, but some of them are just plain odd too, and it speaks volumes to our society. One of the ones, if you guys didn't see the thing where Saudi Arabia actually declared a female robot, actually gives this robot citizenship. Yes, that's right. We are living on the verge of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Right? That's what I think. I'm not a big fan of artificial intelligence for obvious reasons. Because the thing is they're already saying that most of this artificial intelligence is eventually going to outdo human beings.